So as the governor announced they were going to try to cancel this whitefish energy contract on Sunday, we were in the offices of Angel Figueroa Jaramillo. He is the head of UTIR, the Electrical Workers Union in Puerto Rico. We were asking him about Elon Musk's proposal to make Puerto Rico a model of sustainable energy. I asked him how to rebuild the devastated grid, if it's possible in a more sustainable way, and whether solar power has to mean privatization.
Primero, la complejidad del sistema eléctrico de Puerto Rico, un sistema totalmente
First, the complexity of the electrical system of Puerto Rico. It's a totally isolated system. A system with a large amount of demand poses a major challenge in terms of looking at the possibility of solar power for powering the whole country. It's very complex. It requires many studies, a lot of analysis, many evaluations. And the people of Puerto Rico can't wait for all that right now. Now, that doesn't mean that Puerto Rico doesn't have to look very seriously at the possibility of the transformation towards solar power. Nonetheless, the transformation that UTIR believes is most appropriate are for solar communities. The communities themselves should appropriate that system. It's not that we will become a commodity for renewable solar energy.
Are you interested in meeting with Tesla, Elon Musk, or his representatives to figure out what a solar solution or a sustainable solution would be for Puerto Rico?
Claro que sí. Claro que sí.
Yes, of course, yes. We have to meet and search for alternatives to transform the country. This doesn't mean that we're in favor of this becoming privatized. I believe that we have to meet and have a dialogue. We have to search for alternatives. But we are very clear. All the alternatives have to be owned by the community.
That's Angel Figueroa Jaramillo, the head of UTIR, the Electrical Workers Union in Puerto Rico. Well, when we were in Puerto Rico, just before we got to his office on Saturday night, we stayed in an apartment. Like most of the country, had no electricity. When we got there in the middle of the night, it was dark. But just next door, there was a bed and breakfast that did have electricity because it was powered entirely by solar. This is Tisha Pastor, who runs the Casa Sol Bed and Breakfast in Old San Juan. You have a bed and breakfast here in Calle Sol?
We have a bed and breakfast in Calle Sol. It's a sustainable building, so we have solar panels and we have a well that we have from 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of water, clean water, because we have filters that clean that water. And some of them came from the roof, a little bit of from the roof, the water.
So you got a lot of water during the hurricane?
Yeah. We've been working since 2 weeks and a half or 3, receiving like firemen from New York, people who wanted to come and help. The first week was for neighbors that couldn't live without any water or electricity, so they need a respiratory thing to sleep. Mm-hmm. And we help the neighborhood with our fridge to reserve water and stuff and like cooling their water.
And you have solar panels?
We have solar panels.
Can you show us?
See, we have 30 solar panels. We have the solar panels here, and because of that, we can receive people and we can help the community as much as we can. We do kind of everybody came here can take the ice, take the water and put the ice on the fridge, and in the afternoon can take it back home. So we help the community as much as we can.
And so now there isn't clean water in this neighborhood except for what you have, and there's no electricity except for what you have.
We don't have electricity, but now we have clean water. Since 2 days ago, they fixed our pumps for the neighborhood, and now we have the water. At least we have water since 2 days ago.
But you have electricity because of the solar panels, not because of the city.
Not because of the city, yeah.
Right. And the water, would you drink it?
Here, yeah. Because we have filters, and with the filters we can drink the water, yeah.
That's Tisha Pastor, who runs Casa Sol Bed and Breakfast in Old San Juan. So right next to her, we stayed, and there was no electricity, as in most of the island, Juan. But this issue of can a sustainable grid be built, and does it necessarily have to mean privatization?
Well, I don't think it does require privatization, but I do think that the issue of solar power and wind power in Puerto Rico is really the key to the future of the island's energy independence, because right now Puerto Rico requires oil to power 50% of its electrical capacity, while in the United States, I think it's less than 1% or 2% of U.S. Generating capacity comes from oil. Another 15 to 20% of Puerto Rico's generating capacity comes from natural gas, and another big percentage from coal. So
imported
renewables,
coal.
Imported, well, everything is imported. The oil, the gas, and the coal, they're all imported. So that the reality is that as long as Puerto Rico depends on imported fossil fuels to power its electrical grid, not only is it polluting, continuing to pollute the planet, but it's also being dependent on the suppliers. So the energy independence for Puerto Rico is really a national issue that requires an immediate solution, and the best solution is clearly solar and wind power.
Well, that does it for today's report on Puerto Rico. We'll be bringing you reports across the week, just having returned from Puerto Rico. And let's not forget that on Monday, UN experts condemned the U.S.'s handling of the disaster in Puerto Rico, saying the response was ineffective, that the mainland states of Florida and Texas had received far more support after being struck by hurricanes than Puerto Rico. And we'll see what happens with San Juan's mayor, who flew up to Washington, D.C. for a hearing today, which, when she landed in D.C., was canceled. When we come back, a federal judge blocks part of President Trump's transgender military ban. We'll speak with a trans former Marine who's challenging the ban. Stay with us.